में धीर समीरे गाएंगे प्लीज माता जी।
नहीं अभी नहीं,
गोविंद।
अभी आज जल्दी खत्म करना है आज कुछ।
ओके ओके ओके, ठीक है ठीक है।
तो अनुमान तीता वादी सिंहा is humbled. Buddhisagara is also defeated. So benediction for real knowledge, that is the topic for today. Benediction for real knowledge, Madhyageha beholds Madhva. And then an occasion for the composition of Bhashya, request of the senior ascetics. So these are the topics which we'll be dealing for today. And Madhva the Vrkodhara. If possible, we can cover these many topics. And then southern tour begins, that we can do it on Monday. We have to complete some of the till Karthik, we have to finish many of the past tense. So benediction for real knowledge. The teaching by Purna Pragya was going on as usual in the Math. Now he has become the Mathadipati, and his work is to give the knowledge to everyone. One day lecture was delivered on Shankara Bhashya. Shankaracharya writing the Bhashya on different subjects. While lecturing on it, 1 second. While lecturing on it, he said, it is examined upholding principles without any prejudice. There is no agreement between the sutras and this bhashya. So when he was teaching giving the explanation on Shankara Bhashya, he said, it is not at all matching with the sutras. Because the sutras, that means the whole Vedas, they have been condensed to the sutras, whole Vedas. Now, the sutras explanation is known as Bhashya. But here, Madhyacharya says the explanation of the sutras, which is known as the Bhashyas, it is not at all agreeing with each other. If the intention of the sutra is one, the account given by the Bhashya is different. Indeed, it is a wonder. Advancing such a criticism of Shankara Bhashya, he began to expound the flaws in it. That is why Shankara Bhashya is the most dangerous uh, thing to be read. Never read Adi Shankaracharya's any commentary. The moment you read Adi Shankaracharya's commentary, it is only Mayavad. Advancing such a criticism of Shankara Bhashya, he began to find out all the flaws. The listeners regretted for not having noticed those flaws for so long. They also concluded that it was impossible to remedy it, however much they tried. All of them confirmed and requested Shri Purna Pragya, revered sir, you have indeed pointed out the flaws in this bhashya, but you have not explained the true import of the sutras. Kindly favor us with the import of the sutras in a way that will give no room for criticism. So you have seen the faults, you have found out the flaws, but then you give us the correct meaning so that there is no room for criticism. Honoring their prayer, he at once began to expound the import of the sutras that will be agreeable to Vyasa. His explanation in simple style, with easy interpretation and support of the Shrutis and Smritis, delighted the mind of the people. So everybody were really very happy to hear the correct explanation. For the first time in their life, the scholars had the experience of listening to an interpretation that satisfied their mind. It was a brilliant forerunner for the Bhashya that Purna Pragya was to compose in future. So in future, he is going to compose the Bhashya. So this is uh, just yeah, the introduction, you can say, just an introduction. So long his lessons were replete with exposition and criticism of the views of the opponents, but he did not establish his philosophy. The reason for that was the scriptural injunction that one should not teach his philosophy unless an earnest, eager seeker asks for it. Nasprishtah kasyachit briyat. So one should not give his knowledge till it is asked. So that is why he did not present his philosophy. He was waiting for the people to ask. Such a criticism of the opponent, what a catalyst for generating interest in inquiry. So now the time has come because the people started inquiring about the real truth. All of them started praying for it. As a result of it, establishment of the true doctrines, which was the purpose of his incarnation, began. Thus, he is waiting for the right opportunity. The purpose of his incarnation is to give the right knowledge, but that can be given only when asked for. So, this was the background of the above situation. On one side were earnest listeners, desirous of knowing the true doctrines. On the other side were those jealous ones who had come only to challenge. Both these groups comprised scholars in scriptures and skilled in logic as well. It was skill of Madhva that managed both of these. By giving fitting replies to the queries of the earnest seekers, he made them his disciples and defeated others by silencing them. So both he could do it. He could pacify even the true seekers, and he could refute the wrong people and defeat them. This became an instance in point to show the difference in the nature of the souls. The nature of all is not like alike. Some are earnest in the acquisition of true knowledge, good by nature, full of devotion, detached from mundane activities. Some others are against these by being crooked and deceitful. The nature of still others comprises the above two qualities the nature of still others comprises the above two kinds of qualities or is devoid of both of them and full of confusion and doubt. So there are various types of people. Somebody is very good, they are full of devotion and very detached to mundane activities. Some are like crooked, deceitful. Some are completely confused. They're neither devotees, they're neither in devotion nor they are deceitful. They're completely in confusion and they are in complete in doubt. This is what is called the threefold nature of the soul's Jiva Vidya. Three types of people. Some souls are very devoted, very obedient, very much detached to the mundane nature. They're very good by nature, and some souls are very cunning. They are deceitful, and they are full of sinful activities. And some they are in complete confusion. They are neither devotion, they are in devotion, nor they are detached, nor they are uh, deceitful. So threefold. Jiva Vidya, the three classification of faiths in the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is an analysis for this. So even in Bhagavad Gita 17th chapter, it has been given three kinds of souls. Madhya Geha beholds Madhva, Madhya Geha Bhatt, his father. While the discourses of Madhva were going on like this, his father, Nadiliya, came once to see him. That is, he was not staying in the mutt before that. He did not come often to the mutt either. It's not proper either to stay like that or to visit frequently. Mutt is always a public property. Only the servants and the disciples of the Mathadipati are eligible to stay there. So the relatives should not stay there. And nor the devotees are much connected to the devotees, to the relatives. In a government office, the eligibility for stay is only for the group of servants and not for the group of their relatives. So contact with others is only for the sake of getting works done. This tradition exists even today in government organizations. It's a rule of the scriptures that this arrangement should be preserved and followed by Mat too. So Mathadipatis, the servants of Mathadipati, they all stay there. Their relatives do not come and stay. Otherwise, Mutt will become home. Then it will become impossible to prevent the entry of sleep instead of studies, business instead of detachment, fraud instead of application, impurity instead of sanctity, wealth instead of knowledge, bad conduct instead of good conduct into the mud. So then it will not be very difficult for these things to sneak. That is sleep, business, fraud, impurity, wealth, bad conduct. That is why mud should not become a home. The attachment of Madhyageha was only to his son, so as not to leave him, but it was not to the mutt. When his dear son joined the mutt, he stayed back at home only and was grieving, but was not subjected to the delusion of going to the mutt and making it his home. His innate virtuous quality was a cause of following such a good code of conduct. When the pangs of separation of his son were coupled with the compulsion of his wife once he arrived there to see his son. The scriptures prohibit only in the mud, only stay in the mud and not visit to the mud or contact with the Madhyadipatis. So that is not prohibiting a relative to come to the mud. They can come, they can visit. When he came there like that, he saw Shri Purna Pragya busy with giving discourses. He filled his eyes with the luster of the body of his son, which excelled that of the sun. He drank with his ears the nectar of knowledge that his son was giving, filled in pots of the words. As he was virtuous by nature, the grief that filled his mind disappeared on seeing his son. The disgust in him due to his son accepting asceticism against his wish vanished. Enormous satisfaction filled his mind on observing the accomplishment of his son. Such is the nature of the virtuous ones. Though enraged for some reason, they have the magnanimity to become jubilant on knowing the truth. This was what happened to Madhyageh, the picture of his son in his childhood, beholding a stick in hand and moving around saying, I'll establish the Vaishnava religion, passed over his mental screen repeatedly. So in the childhood, when after his Upanayana Sanskar, we heard the Leela that how Madhyacharya was roaming with a dry stick and was saying that I am going to establish the Vaishnava religion. Then his father put a condition, if this dry stick sprouts, I can believe a statement. And it happened exactly like that. Please, thus, Madhyageha returned to his house from there. Though his own son was reigning the Matpitha as a preceptor of the world, even an iota desire to profit by misusing it did not arise in his mind. So he's Madhadipati, he's the preceptor. The Madhyageha bird did not think of even making a small profit out of it. Generally, one should give to the temple, but should not take even a rupee from the temple. If in one sense it was the fruit of his virtuous nature, in another sense it was the fruit of begetting Madhacharya, the Jivottama as a son. This is a rare instance in point to show that even those who have studied Madhva Shastra correctly will never use any situation for their selfish, evil ends. Though his father walked out like that, Sri Madhva too did not attempt to retain him there. Relationship is different and asceticism is different still. As a preceptor, he must exhibit only pure conduct and not the wrong conduct of attachment. As Hanuman and Bhimsen, he had exhibited pure conduct, and now also he did the same thing. Even governments of today will not accept the principle, the method of selecting and empowering close relatives. They don't allow that because malpractices will happen. Both Guru Mane, home of the preceptor, and Aramane, home of the king, palace, should set an example of the people. So Guru Mane means the place where Guru stays. There he should not make it a home, calling his relatives and all and staying there. And then Aramane. Aramane means the palace. That also should set an example. Moreover, Guru Mane should set an example even for Aramane. Then only it is Bhagavad Dharma and will please Sri Krishna. Otherwise, it will be Kanikaniti that came via Shakuni. This is one of the best examples explicit in the probity of the life of Madhva. Shakuni, what he did, he wanted to favor only his sister's son, and in this way he spoiled the whole kingdom. Father did not stay, father did not want to stay with his son in the mud. Son did not want him to stay in the mud as his father either. The good conduct of both of them became a guiding light for others. So neither the son wanted father to take the advantage of the temple, matha, nor The father also did the same. An occasion for the exposition of Bhashya. Now the time has come for the composition of Bhashya. Whatever might be the appreciation Achyuta Preksha had for his disciple, he remained unkind at the time of exposition of doctrines. Though they toured together at the time of studies and discourses, arguments took place along with delight. On one such occasion, he did say straight, Purna Pragya, if you know the import of Brahma Sutras, indeed, you may compose a flawless commentary on them. In his words, there was a command as well as objection. Purna Pragya was a personification of completion with all its aspects. His was an excellent, ideal example, which never let down Achyuta Preksha, who was his teacher in the eyes of the world. Though the teacher objected for some other reason, Purna Pragya had the magnanimity to ignore all of it. So that was the love which Purna Pragya's love and respect which Purna Pragya had for his teacher. Though the teacher had some objections, but still he did not mind those objections. He just took the command as his order. The conduct of such a great man is like that of a swan which takes only the milk and leaves behind the water mixed with it. Sometimes we see some faults. If we see only the fault, then we will leave the milk. Yes, Paramahamsas, what they see good in others. And only Paramahamsas can do. The crow type tendency, what we do, we try to see only the faults. But seeing the fault is should be there in our Guru. Guru should do that because our fault only he can see. So now don't tell to the Guru that only you see what is good in me. But still the Guru sees good in us and tries to engage us in devotional service. And whatever bad is there, he tries to remove it by teaching us. The conduct of such great men is to take the milk and leaves behind the water mixed with it. He ignored the aspect of objection in his word and accepted only the message, write a bhashya. So his guru now commanded, write a bhashya. Request of the senior ascetics also. Achyuta Preksha had another ascetic disciple. He who had accepted asceticism before Purna Pragya originally belonged to Likucha family. So we know this pastime where Likucha word was intentionally omitted by his father while explaining the trees of the Bhagavatam, which is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. So there the word Likucha, where Madhyacharya, when he was very small, just 2 or 3 years, he gives the explanation of the word Likucha, that tree means jackfruit tree. And in the future also, he knows that he is going to meet some ascetics who are going to come from this Likucha family. Due to his seniority, he became popular as senior ascetic only. He was a virtuous person endowed with detachment. We are talking about an ascetic disciple of Achyuta Preksha. He was very much attached to Purna Pragya. He was an esteemed man who showed great respect for Purna Pragya, shedding the reservations of his seniority. For most of the time, he was in the company of Purna Pragya. He had understood the worthlessness of the other Bhashya. Once he requested Madhva, there may be Bhashyas opposed to the doctrine of Vyasa. To us, what are they for? What are they for? You are an expert. Hmm. You, an expert in knowing the meaning of the sutras, teach us the true doctrine of the word of scriptures. There are certain parts which is opposed. There are certain things which is opposed to the doctrine of Vyasa. There may be Bhashya. These Bhashyas which are opposed to the doctrine of Vyasa, they are known as Mayavad philosophies. So you write a sutra and give an expert meaning for it. Though it was his expression, the opinion of all people was also the same. They awaited it like Chataka birds. The request of the senior ascetic was like Sharatkala, for the moonlight of the Bhashya that came out of the moon-like face of Ananda Tirtha to shine. So now requesting him to give the true meaning, and how the true meaning came, it came like a moonlight from the lotus face of Ananda Tirtha. Ananda Tirtha is same Madhyacharya, he is the same Purna Pragya. From that day onwards, the circle of Karna seekers was enabled for the first time to hear the Vaidika Siddhanta accepted to Vyasa. They were enabled to know the doctrine about Vishnu that was hidden so far. They were enabled to know the doctrine about Vishnu that was hidden so far. The darkness of ignorance started melting. Another aspect of the greatness of Madhva began to come to light. Now, Madhva the Vrikodara. Who is Madhva? He is Bhima himself. Vrikodara, voracious eater. Touring the touring the country is a daily routine of the ascetics. Ascetics, they don't stay in one place. They stay at the same time, they go on touring. That should be the nature of the ascetics. They should not just sit in one place. As much as possible, they should travel. And when they travel, they should give the knowledge. So here also Madhva now is in a long duration of travel without special reason. They are not special, they are not supposed to stay at a place for a duration longer than that of a milking of a cow. Same thing has been spoken about Shukadeva Goswami also. When Shukadeva Goswami is born, after that he goes to Hastinapur, he is to not stay in a place more than the time duration taken for milking a cow. The exception for this place is the duration of Chaturmasya. Only in Chaturmasya they can stay 4 months in one place. The name Parivrajaka is meaningful in their case. In that respect also, Parivrajakaacharya. We see no Parivrajakaacharya. That means they do Brahman, except for Chaturmas. In accordance with that rule, Achyutapreksha had the woe of touring the country. In the course of his tour, he came to the sacred place Vishnu Mangal. It is a holy place adjacent to the present day Kasargod. So there is a nice, beautiful place, Kasargod. Near that, we have the place Vishnu Mangal. So he's touring and he came to this place. Bhiksha was offered in a house of that place. The man who offered Bhiksha had heard of the greatness of Madhva. He is an expert in all the Shastras. He has heard how Madhvacharya is an expert in all the Shastras. He is skilled in 64 arts. His yogic powers are unlimited in eating and the like as well. He planned to test it. Now he has heard all these things. That he's very expert, he's a yogi, his yogic powers are very unlimited, and his eating is also unlimited. So he wanted to test it. Immediately after the completion of Bhiksha, he placed before him more than 200 big plantain fruits. No, that is known as Nendramkai, which is grown in the coastal belts of Kerala, where Kasargod and all they are come in the border. They are the big plantain, that means big kelas, bananas, and requested him to eat them. Now 200 bananas, eating one banana itself is a big thing. 200 bananas after the bhiksha, that means after the whole lunch is over, 200 bananas are kept before him. Purna Pragya was aware. Though his conduct appears as a request, in fact it is a test. So he knew that this person wants to test me. Beheld by the people, he did consume one by one. Achyuta Preksha also observed all these. Achyuta Preksha is seeing that he is the student and now the ascetic, Purna Pragya, is consuming one by one. At once he took him aside and inquired, what a miracle is this? You consumed fruits in such a large number. This is impossible even before taking meals. A great wonder is this. Your belly remains thin as before, even after consuming all those fruits. At least belly should become big. 200 bananas inside the belly. That too after eating, after taking bhiksha, eating so much, still your belly is so thin. What is the secret for this? You should inform this without hiding. Purna Pragya smilingly replied, the fire shining in my stomach is of the thickness of a thumb. It is pleasing to me. It is so capable as to digest anything. Mine is such a strength. Bhima of Mahabharat came to the memory of Achyuta Preksha, Bhima was named Vrukodhara because such a fire abided in his stomach. So, how is that fire? It has the thickness of a thumb, but so powerful. Then was he that Vrukodhara? Achyuta Preksha thought, oh, is he the same Vrukodhara? Because he is the same Bhima, because Bhima also had such type of fire in the stomach. The experience he had till that day strengthened it. It was confirmed later when once Purna Pragya himself told that he was incarnation of Vayu. On the one hand, one side is head and the stomach is on the other side. Acquisition of knowledge is the job of the head, and the job of the stomach is to digest the food consumed. If informed fills the head, then food fills the stomach. If information fills the head, then food fills the stomach. There is no change in the size of the head, however much it is loaded with information. It is like a CD of a computer and a cassette. They have the same thickness, whether they are empty or filled with matter. Stomach is not like that. Its nature is to increase in size with filling up of stomach of food. As the food in it gets digested, it will return to its former size. Stomach fails to regain its former size when the quantity of food exceeds its limit of digestion. The remedy for this is either to get digested the food consumed or to consume only that much of food which it could digest. The former is not possible for all. That is the special power with the reach of Mahayogis like Bhima. It's not easy for us to digest all the food what we have eaten. Actually, the food stays for 3 to 4 days. Even if we don't eat for 3 to 4 days, we are not going to become weak. The food, all the food what we are eating is not digested at all. It remains in the stomach. That is why hot water, all these things is done. Because as we are just a jivatma, our agni is not so strong as like of Bhima, Vrukodhara, like of Madhva. So with our limited agni, what we do, we are slowly digesting the food. The food has to burn. It goes in the stomach, slowly it burns and then pushes out. And that is how wherever it is required it goes and pushes out the the remaining part goes as a stool. So that is a power within the reach of Mahayogis. Desire prevents adhering to the later. It is possible only for those who overcome such desire. They are also called yogis. Those who do not have much such power mostly become sick, that is rogis. What is the difference between yogi and rogi? Rogi always eats. After eating also they will eat. Once eaten also, again they will feel, oh, we should eat. Whole day they go on eating. That is why they always become sick. Some or the other sickness will be there. Some indigestion problem will be there. So this becomes rogis. But yogis, what they do? They eat limited. Matter that fills the head may also become a burden when it is not digested. So matter that fills the head. Now, there are certain things which goes in our head, and if it is not digested, then what happens? Again, there is a tension. Like there are so many past experiences or some thought processes which is there in our head, and if we really do not digest those subjects, then what happens? We become sick again. When digested, it will turn to be easy. The stomach of the wise ones resembles the head, and food gets digested in the stomach like matter getting digested by the head. That is why Purna Pragya had such a special power. The same principle was hidden in the episode of eating and digesting grains when he was a child. So we saw that how his mother left and goes after feeding, thinks that the child will sleep. But as soon as the mother left, the child starts crying. And there were some chickpeas, and the whole, it was practically 1 ton, everything the child consumed. So there might be food and thought that even some great yogis could not digest. Lord Shiva, who tried in vain to get digested Kalakuta poison, is an instance in point. Now Lord Shiva could not digest Kalakuta poison. That is why his kantha became Neela. But Mukhya Prana is the great soul who has no such restriction. The Prana Shakti is the basis for any digestive power in the universe. Purna Pragya is the self same form of Prana Shakti. For him, such power is very nature. This incident, which is apparently a miracle, reveals his these principles in this way. The study of his biography is celebrated as boat to cross the ocean of birth, as it reveals the concept. That is why the moment we study the biography of Shripad Madhvacharya, even we can digest the matter which is filled in our head, and in this way become easy from so many unwanted anarthas. You can say anarthas filled in our consciousness. Oh, he said like this, he said like, or studying something which is irrelevant. So all these things will get digested if one hears to the pastimes of Madhvacharya. And regarding the food, one will consume only that much which is required. So self-control automatically comes to the person who hears the pastimes of Shripad Madhvacharya. So we'll meet on Monday. Tomorrow is Gopashtami. So request the devotees to come to Jagannath Devasthanam, do the sevas. Two devotees are going to the Goshala so that some puja to our cows can happen there. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalp
हरे
Taruja.
कृष्णा माता जी एक छोटा सा क्वेश्चन है। अगर जो हम नॉलेज सीखते हैं तो वो दूसरों को बताना तो चाहिए माता जी, मगर आप यहाँ पे कह रहे हैं कि
बताना चाहिए।
जो अगर पूछेंगे तो ही हम बता सकते हैं, तो कैसे समझे माता जी ये?
वो जो पूछते हैं, जो हम हमारे हिसाब से नहीं बोल रहे ना, जो हम ज्ञान को अर्जित कर रहे हैं हमारे गुरु आचार्य से सुनकर, वो ज्ञान को हम दूसरों से बांट सकते हैं। हम बांट रहे हैं,
अच्छा
वहां हम
अच्छा।
ज्ञान नहीं दे रहे हैं, बांट रहे हैं। याद रखना, जैसे
हाँ
प्रसाद हम
हाँ।
बनाए नहीं, भोग हम बनाए नहीं, जो हमें मिला है वो हमने बांटा है। एक होता है बनाना, एक होता है बांटना। फिलॉसफी को आचार्य कब देंगे? जब उनसे पूछा जाता है, तब वो सही फिलॉसफी देंगे। वहां वो कुछ सुना हुआ फिलॉसफी को बांट नहीं रहे, नया नई तरीके से नॉलेज को दे रहे। तो श्रील प्रभुपाद ने जाकर बांटा, वहां कोई पूछे नहीं प्रभुपाद को। प्रभुपाद ने जो अपने गुरु से अर्जित किया उसे जाके बांटा है। एक होता है बांटना, एक होता है फिलॉसफी को, भाष्य को लिखना। जैसे रामाचार्य ने भाष्य लिखा, जब वो नीड होता है तब आचार्य भाष्य लिखते हैं, वो भाष्यकार होते हैं, वो सब भाष्य लिखते हैं। हमको जो मिला हुआ प्रसाद को हम बांटते हैं, वो भी हम सबको, अश्रद्धालु व्यक्ति को थोड़ी जाकर बोलते हैं। वो भी तो एक प्रकार का अपराध है। श्रद्धालु अश्रद्धानि मुख्य पशुपति उपदेश नाम अपराध, वो भी आठवां अपराध है, नौवा अपराध है। अश्रद्धालु व्यक्ति को
मगर
जाकर जानबूझकर जाके बोलना नहीं चाहिए। उनका जो कोप टेंडेंसी है और बढ़ता है। मूर्खों को छोड़ देना चाहिए, मूर्खों को कभी जाकर ज्ञान नहीं देना चाहिए। मूर्खों को ज्ञान देना माने उनके जो कोप प्रवृत्ति को और उचकाना, क्योंकि वो सर्प जैसे होते हैं, हमेशा विष निकलता है उनके मुख से। तो ऐसे विषैली व्यक्तियों के पास जाकर ज्ञान कभी बांटना नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि उनको ज्ञान समझेंगे ही नहीं। हाँ, लेकिन परिवार वाले हैं जो अच्छे हैं, सुनते हैं तो ही। परिवार वालों में भी ऐसे लोग रहते हैं जिनसे ज्यादा बात करने का ही, उनके कोप को अनवांटेड, क्योंकि उनसे कुछ भी बोलो तो हमेशा वो क्या है, उनके मुख से क्या निकलेगा? ज्वाला निकलेगा। इसीलिए बहुत लोग हैं जिनके पास ज्ञान अर्जित करने की इच्छा होती है, वहां जाकर बोलो ना, उनके पास जाके बोलो। मूर्ख व्यक्ति उनके पास नहीं बोलना चाहिए। ठीक है,
ओके माता जी, थैंक यू सो मच।
रखो। आए हैं, कर्म ऐसा भोगना है, ठीक है, उस परिवार में आए हैं, चलो अपना कर्म निभाओ। और बस भगवान से यही प्रार्थना करो, भगवान बस अपने धाम में ले जाओ, या फिर कहीं भी जन्म देते हो अच्छे वैष्णव के घर में जन्म दो, ताकि हम भी कुछ सीखें उस वैष्णव से, गुरु आचार्य के साथ रहें। तो इस प्रकार से भगवान से यही प्रार्थना करो कि हमें बस गुरु आचार्य का सेवा करना है। मूर्खों के पास रहते हैं तो फिर ठीक है, थोड़ा समय तक एक्टिंग करना है, जैसे कि पत्नी है पति है, बस एक्टिंग करो, ठीक है।
फिर कभी माता जी ऐसा हो जाता है कि नहीं बोलना है, फिर भी मुंह से निकल ही जाता है कुछ ना कुछ, तो सब बहुत डांटते कि बस अपने पास रखो, अपने पास रखो।
हाँ तो रहता है ना, घमंड रहता है ना। जो मूर्ख पति होता है, इस जगत का मूर्ख पति, वो क्या सोचता है, मैं यहाँ का बॉस हूँ। ये मूर्खता है। वो ये नहीं समझता है पतियों के पति कृष्ण है, वो अपने हिसाब से जीना देते हैं, तो भगवान क्या करते हैं, अच्छी तरह से दंड देंगे। जो अपना समय को बर्बाद करता है, भगवान उसको दंड देते हैं। वो ये नहीं समझता है कि सबसे बड़े होते हैं पति, वो है कृष्ण। इसीलिए मूर्खों से ज्यादा बात ही नहीं करना है। मूर्ख व्यक्ति होते हैं जो समय को बर्बाद करते हैं। तो हमारा समय उनके पीछे क्यों बर्बाद करें। हमारा समय अच्छी तरह से जप करो, भोग बनाओ, कथा श्रवण करो। बस इतना अवसर तो मिल रहा है। अभी बहुत सारी जगह में तो प्रवचन होते हैं, सब होते हैं। भगवान की कृपा से नित्य हमारा चलता ही है। और भगवान की कृपा से हम पढ़ भी रहे हैं मध्वाचार्य के पास टाइम्स, इतना तक कि जो मध्वा में बान बॉर्न हुए हैं वो भी नहीं समझ पाते हैं। वो भी वो भी शायद जानते। हमारे एक शिष्य थे, तो वो मध्व संप्रदाय से उनका जन्म हुआ, लेकिन वो नहीं जानते थे कि पाजक क्षेत्र, कभी कभी विजिट ही नहीं किए, बचपन से उड़पी जाते थे, लेकिन कभी पाजक क्षेत्र में विजिट ही नहीं किया, आप सोचो। तो भगवान की कृपा हो रही है कि हम बैठकर मध्वाचार्य के पास टाइम्स को पढ़ते हैं, सुनते हैं, ठीक है। हरे कृष्ण। पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।
थैंक यू माता जी।